Hey, what's up guys, it's MugenLord here, and I'm back again with another video, and today I want to talk about Studio Volition. They're pretty much the developers who brought us the Saints Row series, and it looks like they officially closed down their doors a couple days ago, and we already know the reason why. The game, the reboot of Saints Row, didn't do too well, and they are a perfect case that many companies within the gaming industry should study. The fact is that when you get woke, you will definitely go broke. So I want to give you my overall thoughts and opinions about the whole situation. So before we dive into the video, make sure to hit the subscribe button, notification bell for more gaming content here on this channel. So let's dive into it. First of all, Saints Row. Now, I go way back with Saints Row because I've owned the first two games. And what I liked about Saints Row, and what many other people liked about Saints Row, is the fact is that it was an alternative to Grand Theft Auto. Because Grand Theft Auto 3 at the time pretty much took the gaming industry by storm when it released on the PS2, and it got to the point to where other studios was inspired by it, and they wanted to capitalize and capture that market that Grand Theft Auto 3 had pretty much took capture and took hold of, and they were just making that money. Rockstar Studios had done a good job with that. So we fast forward to the Xbox 360 and the PS3 era of gaming. We had Saints Row from Studio Volition. They decided to have their own alternative to Grand Theft Auto, and many people enjoyed it. And it offered something much more different than Grand Theft Auto, down to the different gangs, you know, storylines. I even like the art design to it and everything. And it had so many different other gameplay features that made itself stand out from Grand Theft Auto. And to me, it felt like that the studio had fallen under pressure because they probably kept hearing people say, man, this is like a generic or knockoff version of Grand Theft Auto. So it seemed like the studio, as the titles began to progress, they decided they want to stray away from that and not be known as a generic Grand Theft Auto and start going in their own direction. Now, me, in my personal opinion, I liked when they were back doing the whole Grand Theft Auto thing with the gangs and stuff like that. But when they started moving into this whole wackiness and edgy comic book type of gameplay and aesthetic, it kind of lost me, because that's not what I wanted from Saints Row. But you still had diehard fans that still loved it for what it was, because it was edgy. It pushed the boundaries. It did things within that genre that some games weren't doing at that time, and many people enjoyed it, and it was very hardcore. Even the women were sexy as hell in the game, and people loved that. So here it is. The game had disappeared. It fell off for some time, and many fans was wondering, hey, when is the next time you actually going to be able to get our hands and actually see a new Saints Row game? Many fans talked about it, and then not too long after that, about a year and a half ago, there was rumors going around talking about a potential Saints Row game, and many fans was going crazy about it, talking about it and giving their speculations in the videos. And then eventually, when the time came for them to make the announcement, all they showed was a picture, I believe, of a brick wall, and had graffiti on it. And many fans were speculating, looking at the graffiti, that, hey, maybe they're going back to the original roots. Maybe they're going back to the whole gangs and the Grand Theft Auto similarities that they have done in the past, instead of the whole superhero mayor and stuff like that, and more so go back to its roots. And many fans were speculating and happy about it that may be the case. And the funny thing about it is, and the sad thing about it is, I felt sorry for the community, because when that picture had leaked, many people was so excited about it and was looking forward to it. And I sat down that whole day just listening to fans in their videos, just watching their videos. And also people who just joined YouTube had essentially pretty much made an account just for Saints Row for this new game. So we was getting new content creators on top of that. And then officially, once the countdown was over and we finally got a chance to see the main characters, they had them all posted against the wall. And when fans seen the main cast, fans were upset and disappointed. And people were saying that, yo, this is essentially unrecognizable to us. These characters don't look appealing at all, and these characters don't seem rough or hard edge. But most of these characters just seem so weak, so unappealing. And when you look at it, you look at the cast. Of course, you have to have in the middle the strong, empowered black woman who has all these masculine features, nothing feminine about the character, but she stands in the middle, and she's known as the boss. And they all have the common haircut. If you want to know if a game is woke, most of the time, you look at, especially with the female protagonist, you look at her haircut. When you look at her haircut, you essentially know what you're about to get. A masculine, female, girl balls, and that's all they have to them. It's just copy and paste. You take the paintbrush and you stroke it across all female characters within these Western studios nowadays. And that's what this character was pretty much projecting when I seen her. And then of course you got the effeminate black man. And this seemed like this has been a trend, especially if you haven't been on Netflix. There's a lot of Netflix shows and series that has a lot of black males, and their portrayal of black males are very effeminate. Nothing masculine about them at all. And that's pretty much irritates the hell out of me and many other people. And this is how these studios especially see African Americans, especially black women. The way they treat black women, especially in entertainment and in video games, and how they portray them, masculine, unattractive. And like I said, we talked about this with Tanya and Mortal Kombat, and also some of the stuff that I showed you with the other characters, April O'Neil, and the most recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Disgusting. And the list goes on of all the different black women they had portraying these games, compared to Eastern studios, who've done a real good job in how they portray black women and their aesthetics and everything, which I prefer the most. Well, I digress. Well, anyway, these characters are unrelatable. These characters look nothing like how any of the other characters look in the past Saints Row. This game is being advertised to the Twitter crowd. You know, the Twitter crowd, they all have their pronouns in their bios, and they look like, these characters themselves look like if they were on Twitter, they would have pronouns in their bios, and they all probably wear masks too when they go out in public. So when you look at these characters, that's the type of feel, that's the type of vibe that you get from these characters. And then once you start to get into the cutscenes, or you got into the opening trailer, even that looked unrecognizable. It's like something that stepped out of Fortnite. Especially you had the one of the male protagonists with the helmet with the glow up cat ears and stuff. I'm like, what is this? It looked like something. It looked like Fortnite in a sense as well, even with the visual style. If that was something that Volition, I guess, was hoping to capture, but everything about it screamed nothing related to what Saints Row is. And then you go turn around and then you see the interviews that the CEO of Volition and many of the developers had. They was pretty much saying, and from articles was stating, that they wanted to be less edgy and they wanted to be more inclusive, which is why you had some of the character creations options that they had in the game, in this version of the game. But they wanted to be less edgy. They wanted to be more inclusive. And then when you look at articles, like this one article right here, how Saints Row, this new Saints Row game, made me realize that I'm trans, and all this other type of nonsense. This was the crowd that they pretty much kicked their fan base to the side, and this was the crowd that they wanted to please. And now look what happened to them.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Their studio had collapsed. The game didn't sell too well. And then on top of that, the developers went on Twitter and started going to war with its fan base. They left tweets saying that none of you guys can, essentially, which I'm paraphrasing, stop us from developing this game. And any criticism that fans had with the game, they would respond back to it. So now you have developers versus the fan base. And what developers fail to realize, especially today, what they fail to realize is you would never win against the fans. You would never win. You can argue with them all you want. You will never win, because the fans is the only reason why your property, your IP, your franchise is as popular as what it is today, because of their support. Because you gave them what they want, a product that they enjoyed, and in return, they gave you their money. And then if you go against that, and then double down on it by arguing back with your fan base, so you can chase after this inclusive and diversity initiative, you're bound to fail. And that's what happened to Volition. And then on top of that, the community manager was arguing back and forth within the community post for the new Saints Row game. The whole thing was a disaster. It was a whole disaster. And then, of course, we got a chance to look at the cast members who did the actors who portrayed the characters. And then you actually got a chance to see the actor behind the boss. And when you look at this woman, because she appeared with Jeff Keighley on I think the Game Awards or the Summer Game Fest, or one of them, when the game was announced, we got a chance to see the actress herself who plays as the boss. And look at her. She's a feminine black woman. Attractive, curvy and everything. And yet, this is what we get for the main character. This is what the main character looked like, and this is what she looks like. She's an attractive woman. And then you turn around, you do the complete opposite. Now, this is the thing about gamers. Gamers will give a studio a chance, even if they decide to experiment and try something different, something that isn't the norm of what they normally do with a franchise. Gamers will give them a chance. They will say, okay, I'll take a chance, I'll buy it, I'll see what these guys, or what the studio has to offer when it comes to this new interpretation of whatever franchise it may be. But the issue is, when you talk down to the gamers, and when you talk down to them and then come out and say, hey, come play our game, you're not going to get good results at all. And that's what happened. Because I'm pretty sure, despite the complaints that people had about what they've seen as far as the aesthetics and the direction they're going with the series and how the main characters look, I guarantee you, if they didn't talk down to the fan base would have went out and at least gave the game a try. At least. But on top of that, after the whole controversy between the fans and the studio itself, the game finally launches. And once the game had finally launched, the game was plagued with so many bugs and so many other issues. So that didn't even help. So if you spent most of your time as a studio trying to pretty much reverse everything that the studio was known for when it came to Saints Row, and to be less edgy, be more inclusive to a crowd that's pretty much a minority, of this series. Because let's be honest, let's be serious here. When it comes to Saints Row and many games, but we want to talk about Saints Row. Let's be honest. Most of the demographics that play Saints Row is obviously male, and straight on top of that. So then you turn around, and then you have main characters that looks like this, and then you say that you want to be more inclusive, and you want to advertise a game for people like this article right here. You're bound to fuck up. This game is bound to fail. And I don't understand why these studios still insist on doing that, knowing that it never yield fruitful results, positive results at all. They just keep doing it. They keep doubling down on it. And like I said, gamers are a different breed of consumers. When you back talk and you talk down or talk shit to a gamer is going to speak with their wallets. And not only speak with their wallets, they're going to meme you to death. That's all they're going to do. They're going to constantly meme you to death, make fun of you, to show you how stupid your decision is for doing the exact thing that's not going to get you money. And that's what happened here when it came to Volition. And then Embracer Group, which is the big studio that's buying up all these Western studios, or all these studios in general, they're buying up all these studios. And when they bought the studio Volition, they was hoping that this title would do them some good after they made this big purchase. And the game didn't sell too well. And then you have the CEO, quite shocked on why it didn't sell so well. And then you also have some journal outlets trying to make excuses of why it fell and try to attack the fans, saying, the fans are being toxic, they're being bullies to the studio, when in fact the studio had pretty much turned its back on the original audience who bought their games to begin with, and then doubled down and argue with them and pretty much try to, call them, sexist, racist, homophobic, all these other type of buzzwords that these people normally use when it comes to, not being able to take constructive criticism. And this is a perfect example. As I said, once again, when you get woke, you go broke. Getting woke never works. Trying to appease a crowd that would never support your game to begin with, because all they do is just cry and complain on the internet. That's all they do. They really don't want to buy your game. They really don't. They get off at the fact is that they can turn around and make a studio so scared of them that they will bend the knees and change these different aspects and even go against their audience so they won't get canceled, or to pretty much please these journals, because that's what's going on. This is a vocal minority who has pretty much infiltrated the industry, and now they're in positions of power, so they run everything. So now these studios, and a lot of the studios, and which I think Nintendo had pretty much just cut Kotaku out altogether, which more studios should be doing, cutting some of these journalist sites, which we'll get into a whole nother video. But the fact is that these studios are scared of these journals because they're scared of getting bad press, because they think if they get bad press, these people will come out and start attacking them and canceling these companies. But a company can never be canceled, or a person can never be canceled, as long as they have their fan base. The fans would have supported them regardless of what they would have done, as far as staying edgy and giving the fans what they want. When you give them what they want, you will always become lucrative. Perfect example. We're going to say it again. We had the Hogwarts Legacy. Here it is. We had the journals making bad articles about it. You know, we had many people, the Twitter crowd, the Twitter mob, calling everybody transphobic.
If you buy the Hogwarts Legacy game, you are contributing to transphobia. Even if you consider yourself an ally, even if you yourself are trans, you are contributing to transphobia. And that is not an opinion, it's a fact.
Taking all these other buzzwords and trying to say, hey, let's boycott the game. Anybody that buy the game is a bigot.
As you know, I streamed Hogwarts Legacy last week, and I was streaming the game. That Harry Potter means a lot to me. But that doesn't mean that I'm taking any stance on people's personal lives or political leanings or beliefs or anything. Like, my streams have never and will never be a place to discuss these kinds of topics. Me doing nothing but streaming this game means I'm against your views, and you're welcome to stop being a part of this community, and you can stop watching the streams.
And all these other type of buzzwords that they use. And all it did was backfire. Because when it backfired, everybody went out and bought the game. This is how you shut these people down. This is how you shut the journals down, and it's how you shut down the Twitter mob. You never back down. If there's something that you enjoy about a particular product or whatever it is, and it's pretty much deemed as unacceptable to the people of moral authority, double down on it. Go there, purchase it, show support. Hell, I don't care about Harry Potter, but guess what? Bought the game, Hogwarts Legacy, and gave it to my daughter, just to show these people that, hey, you can't dictate anything. You don't have control over my purchase and what I like, you know. And that's what's going on. Gamers, when they're fed up, and this is a perfect example of gamers being fed up. You can't just go out there and produce a game, talk down to the audience, and then say, hey, we want you to buy our game, and then surprise when no one buy your game. It just doesn't work that way. So I hope studios in the long run see what happens when you get woke and try to cater to an audience that is a very vocal minority and a very small group, and most of the time, in most cases, won't support the game anyway. I hope you see this, because this is what happens. You want to make money, give the fans what they want, and they will grace you with their money, with their paycheck. That's all you have to do. I don't understand how this is a concept in the West that seems so foreign. Like, they just can't wrap their heads around it. But it's because it's more to it. It's more to it. BlackRock, ESG, is so much that's wrapped around this whole initiative, and that's the reason why they're going to continue to keep pushing it, even after the fact they know it's going to fail. They keep pushing it because there's a bigger picture behind this. But overall, I just gotta say that, hey man, if more and more businesses got to fall until they finally get it and finally say, hey, maybe this whole ESG, this whole diversity and inclusion, and this whole initiative, maybe we need to stop this and just go back to doing what we normally do. Just make good fucking games. Get competent developers to make good games. Stop trying to put political messages in our games. Stop trying to preach to us. We came to you to be entertained, not to be preached to. And as long as you want to keep going there and trying to talk down to us, this is going to be the results. You're going to always keep finding more and more Volition studios. So that's pretty much it for this video. I want to definitely hear your thoughts in the comment sections below. I hope I didn't keep you guys for long, but there's really not much more to say when it comes to this. this whole situation with Saints Row. I feel bad for the fans who really wanted a great Saints Row game, who's been waiting all this time for one, just for them to just shit out a crappy ass, I guess you could say, fake Saints Row game masked as something totally different. So I definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about the reboot? What do you think about the whole Saints Row series altogether? Which entry of the series that you enjoyed the most? And leave that in the comment section. So if you like the video, hit the like button because it definitely helps me out in the algorithm. And also, like I said again, subscribe and hit that bell to be notified for more gaming content here on this channel. This is MugenLord signing off. I'll see you game fiends later. Peace out.